history doesn't have to go back to the time of Noach to know what our sages think. One of the most critical lessons that we're able to learn in our lives is what happened just a little over 7 years ago at the time of the Holocaust. Not just what Hashem's wrath looks like, but also what love of Torah looks like before and after the Holocaust. The Chafetz Chaim, alav shalom, was a ish kodesh, a quiet man. Didn't speak much because he knew the value of speech and how dangerous it can be. One time when he was already over 100 years old, he showed a person, he said, "Look at my teeth." He said, "Count how many teeth I have." He said, "You see, I have every single tooth. Not a single cavity, not a single filling, not a single missing tooth." He says, "You know why? Because this mouth never said anything forbidden." I wish we could all say the same. But this very same Chafetz Chaim, in the Sefer, in the book called Siberia, the personal testimony of Rabbeinu Gershom Klivansky, he says that he once heard the Chafetz Chaim make a public announcement. Anyone who sends their children to public schools with the Goyim in Russia, needless to say in America or anywhere else, anyone who sends their children to public schools with Goyim is likened to someone who brings their children as a sacrifice to Molech. Molech is one of the famous idols in the biblical times. There was an idol that fools would bring their children as sacrifices to them, killed their own children as a sacrifice. And the Chafetz Chaim, that never said a single word that was not allowed, says anyone that takes their kids, sends their kids to public school, is likened to someone that's bringing a sacrifice to Molech. Not just any sacrifice. Your child is a sacrifice to Molech. Just so you know, the Midrash Me'am Loez, written by Rav Kuli 300 years ago, says exactly the same thing. In Parashat Yitro, where he talks about the 10 Commandments, in the commandment that discusses idolatry, he says, anyone that sends their Jewish children to public schools, to the schools of the non-Jews, is committing 100% idol worship. They're going to go up to Shamayim, say, you go to the idol worship section. What section is that? That section is no share of the world to come section. That's the section. Yeah, but I gave a lot of tzedakah. Yeah, we gave you rewards for that in the regular world. Now you're in a world that there is no world. What does that no world mean? Genom permanently. That's what it means. Why? But I only send my kid to public school for only 10 years. Okay, 10 years. You ruined his whole life. Unless your kid saved you by doing TeShuva and so on, which you should pray for every single day. For your kids to do TeShuva if you send them to public school. But the point being is, Chafetz Chaim said the same exact thing. When Rav Klivansky heard this, he vowed to teach his kids Torah at all costs. But teaching Torah in those days was not like today. Today you want to teach your kids Torah? Teach them Torah. Send them to yeshiva. Yeah, but I can't afford yeshiva. It's $500, $1,000 a kid every month. I don't have that kind of money. Okay, teach them at home. Get an avrech, pay him a few dollars, come to your house, teach him. No, I can't even afford that. Okay, teach him at home by yourself. Yeah, but I don't know anything. Okay, get a few books. Can you afford a few books? Can you afford a few books? 20, 30 bucks? Get a few books. Tell your kid, here, wake up in the morning, read this book. When I come home, finish the book. That's it, every day. Read the books. Watch BezratHashem.org. Press play in the morning, press stop at night. When you go to sleep, finish. The kid's going to become Talmid Chacham. Bezrat Hashem. And that's not so hard. No one's going to get in your way. No one's going to get in your way. But in Russia, if you were teaching your kids Aleph Bet, you were considered enemy of the state. And could be given a death penalty. But despite all of this, Rav Klivansky testifies himself. After he heard the Chafetz Chaim say what he said, I made a vow that under all costs I will teach my kids Torah. I never sent them to the schools with the green. Even though that meant I'm going to become an enemy of the state, of a communist government, and put myself and my entire family at risk, life risk. Why? Because it's better to put yourself at life risk with flesh and blood people than at eternal risk with a Kadosh Baruch Hu, because you went against what the Chacham said, what the Chafetz Chaim said. Rav Elazar Shach, Alav Shalom, after the Holocaust. What Chafetz Chaim said was before the Holocaust. People didn't listen. What happened? Holocaust happened. So what happened after the Holocaust? Rav Elazar Shach, who saw what the Holocaust did, firsthand, says, any time I see buses that take the Jewish children to secular schools, I know it's exactly like the trains that took the children of Am Yisrael to Auschwitz and thereby to the gas chambers to kill them. That's what Rav Shach said. Sending your kids to public school, same thing like you're sending them to a gas chamber. Now, of course, many people that are liberal-minded, high society, and think of themselves as intellects, rejected what Rav Shach said. Went against him. Didn't make a difference. Didn't change the halacha. Why? That's what it is. The question is, how could it be that Rav Shach, Chafetz Chaim, Rav Klivansky, and others that we'll mention momentarily, how can they be so strict about simple Jewish education? Needless to say about the laws of the Torah, like homosexuality being forbidden and so on, how can they be so strict about it to the extent of saying, listen, you send your kid to public school, it's 100% idol worship. It's worse than sending him to a Auschwitz. How? How can they be, why are they so strict? And yet, Mr. Rational today, rationalist, Mr. liberal-minded, Mr. modern orthodox, Mr. conservative and reformist friend, walk around with no fear of the world, no fear of nothing, doing whatever they want. What do you want to do? Okay, let's find a way to kosherize it. How? Why is there such a gap between the two worlds? Now, you don't have to be a genius to know. Who knows more Torah? Chafetz Chaim, Rav Shach, or Mr. Modern today? Who knows more Torah? No one is going to, even the guy, the modern guy today is not going to say, I know more Torah than Chafetz Chaim. What he will probably say is, no, you're misunderstanding what Chafetz Chaim said. That's what he'll probably say. You're changing what he said. You're translating it your way. He said it nicer. He said it's a sacrifice to the Molech in a nicer way than you. He didn't say it like you. But he still said that though. But it didn't sound like you said it. You're making it sound scary. Well, I don't know, you're sacrificing a kid. Okay, you want me to say it like a nice tune, like a child song? You're sacrificing him to Molech and he's gonna die. Woo! Like, what do you want me to... It's the same thing! But this is the rational-minded. They want to do things in a nice, with a jingle to it. Maybe a dance too. Put it on YouTube. With that being said, and as funny as it is, this is the truth. This is what's happening in the world today. How come? Why are the worlds so separate? Why is there such a gap between the two? Rav Ovadia Alav Shalom. Today is Zilula. when he found out that the head of the educational department in the Israeli government, Yossi Sarid, was getting in the way of how the Jewish children were going to learn Torah. It was at the time of Purim. Rav Ovadia said to the public, when you say Aru Aman, that Aman is cursed, it's also Arur Yossi Sarid. It says Aru Aman and Arur Yossi Sarid. Cursed is Haman and cursed is Yossi Sarid. You said, oh, Rav Ovadia is Gdol Hador, what are you doing? How can you talk like that? It's another Jew. He's getting in the way of Jewish education. He's cursed from Shamayim.
B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh V'Natzliach, we're very excited to offer you the new Be'ezrat Hashem app 3.0. It's a newer, faster app, full of Torah, lots of Kedusha by the Shiurim that we do, myself, Rav Ephraim, Rav Chaim, where you'll have also newer features where you're able to use the app while you're using other applications on your phone. You'll be able to share the lectures directly from the app. You'll be able to donate online and support our Kiruv and our Torah work that we're doing. And the most exciting feature is that you'll be able to actually ask questions directly on the app and get answers from the rabbis directly from the app. This is something unprecedented, and Baruch Hashem will be able to offer it. Thank you again for all of your support. Check it out. Make sure you have the kosher Torah that will re-energize your neshama each and every single day. Call to B'chava Tzlacha.